Russian Saratov and Engels have suffered the largest UAV attack of all time, the regional governor reported. At least 30 loud explosions over the Russian administrative center of Saratov and the nearby city of Engels were reported by local telegram channels early on March 28th, posting videos from the cities with the sounds of air raid sirens in the background. Residents spotted a number of drones flying toward the local oil refinery and the Engels air base shortly after regional governor Roman Busargin warned of a possible UAV attack. Engels, too, the main air base for bomber operations and Russia's only site for the Tupolev Tu-160 strategic bomber, is located 14 kilometers east of Saratov. On March 20th, it was the target of a coordinated drone attack by the Ukrainian Security Service and Special Operations Forces. According to the General Staff report, a stockpile of 96 air-launched cruise missiles intended for 3 missile strikes on Ukraine in March and April, as well as aviation fuel storage facilities, were destroyed. After Russia violated the ceasefire by attacking Ukrainian cities for 2 nights in a row, Ukraine sent a message to Putin what is coming if he continues. A Russian officer, in a plea to Putin, gripes that their commanders force them to buy gear, fix equipment, and even purchase lumber for bunkers out of their own pockets. Anyone who resists gets tossed into a forest pit for days without food for re-education.
I will specifically talk about what is happening in the 20th Army, the 144th Division, the 59th Tank Regiment in the 2nd Tank Battalion. All this lawlessness is being caused by the commander of the 2nd Tank Battalion, Ibrahim Safarov, call sign Scala. There is absolutely no provision. I will probably start now with the equipment. Specifically, in the 2nd Tank Battalion there is a wagon. The men in turn have to purchase all sorts of spare parts for the Urals, for the Bela, and for Kamaz using their own money. And in addition to spare parts, wheels are being purchased because the tires wear out. This equipment, the equipment in our battalion doesn't have any technical documentation at all. It lacks passports. The equipment doesn't undergo any repairs whatsoever. Why should I do this with my own money? Why should I? This means a person who wants to defend their homeland, they need to get tank batteries, get a compressor, because well, how? It turns out that the Ministry of Defense and our country have no money. I will never believe that. Why is everything missing in our unit? Besides that, the commander of this battalion is engaging in self-initiative. People who refuse and to acquire something at one's own expense, like generators, some spare parts, or the same wood for building dugouts and saunas, they just throw the person into a pit for re-education, into a battalion's pit. They marinate him there for 3 to 4 days, walking at night, opening the lid, looking into his beautiful blue eyes. The person begins to be re-educated. Then, if they are not re-educated, they sit in this pit in hunger and cold. They are sent for evacuation.
U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz revealed information provided by Israeli intelligence in a Signal chat. According to the Wall Street Journal, citing an anonymous U.S. official, Israeli officials expressed dissatisfaction with the public disclosure of the discussions. "We definitely identified the first target, their chief rocket maker, when he entered his girlfriend's house, and now he's destroyed," Waltz wrote in the chat. He did not specify the sources of the obtained data, but in another message, he mentioned that the U.S. has numerous positive identification data. 2 days after the strikes, on March 15th, Major General Alexis Grinkowicz reported at a Pentagon briefing that the U.S. had targeted over 30 sites in Yemen. However, he did not mention the elimination of the missile expert. Last year, the Biden administration considered options for strikes against higher-ranking military and political leaders of the Houthis, involving Israeli and Saudi partners. Although these strikes were never carried out, the groundwork seems to have formed the basis for the operation conducted by the Trump administration on March 15th. The personal details of the informant who likely assisted in the elimination of the Houthi missile expert are unlikely to be revealed. However, the very fact of such a leak raises significant concerns. It's worth noting that on March 11th, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of the publication, received a connection request on the Signal Messenger from a user named Michael Waltz, the U.S. President's national security advisor. The journalist accepted the request, hoping to discuss global security issues, particularly in Ukraine and Iran. However, the events that followed turned out to be much more unexpected. 2 days later, Goldberg was added to a group chat titled Houthi PC Small Group. It included high-ranking U.S. officials, such as Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President J.D. Vance. The discussion focused on strikes against the Houthi group and the international situation resulting from the blockade of the Suez Canal. During public hearings in the Senate, chat participants denied the disclosure of sensitive information that could harm the defense capabilities of the U.S. Nobody sent military plans. That's all I can say about it, Hegseth told one of the reporters. However, the released screenshots suggest the opposite. They show that Hegseth revealed the takeoff time of F-18 fighter jets and MQ-9 drone details, as well as information about the target that was supposed to be at the strike point, emphasizing that the strike must be timely. Canada just torched its alliance with the U.S. Carney didn't mince words. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. Trump is destroying U.S. influence and alliances piece by piece.
The relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. What exactly the United States does next is unclear. But what is clear is that we, as Canadians, have agency. We have power. We are masters in our own home. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away. We can deal with this crisis best by building our strength right here at home. It will take hard work. It will take steady and focused determination from governments, from businesses, from labor, from Canadians. We will need to dramatically reduce our reliance on the United States. We will need to pivot our trade relationships elsewhere. And we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations.
The biggest flaw in the American analysis of the situation is that this is a war about defining a border. But that's not what this war is about. The war in Ukraine is about the political control of all of Ukraine. Danish military analyst Anders Puck Nielsen chats with Euromaiden's editor-in-chief about the war in Ukraine.
The biggest flaw in the American analysis of the situation is that this is a war about defining a border. If they can just agree on a border, then we can end the war. But that's not what the war is about. What the war is about the political control of all of Ukraine. And Russia wants the political control of all of Ukraine. Russia wants to, in one way or another, push Ukraine in a direction where politically it will be ungovernable, and eventually there will be some kind of puppet regime taking power in Kyiv. So they will try to get all kinds of conditions that will make that happen. And of course, Ukraine is fighting for sovereignty, for being an independent country, and being free from all Russian influence in the future. And these things are just not compatible, right? And for one of the sides to say that, okay, we give up on this, right? We acknowledge we lost this, we have to abandon this thing, then that will require that one of the sides is about to lose the war. And I don't see militarily that one side is about to lose the war right now.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week did 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.